Hello everyone, here we are in beautiful Spielberg at the Red Bull Ring in Austria, and we're super psyched because there are only 4 more races to go in the DTM season 2022, and the man who's leading the championship is Sheldon van der Linde, but Lucas Auer is trying his best to pick up the points and catch up. We caught up with both of them up in the air.
My name is Lucas Auer and they call me Lucky. I'm from Austria and Spielberg is my home race. I'm the hunter. Sheldon, watch out.
Ich werde dich fertig machen. Dass du mich da rausschickst, ich werde dich einfach fertig machen.
Basically, Sheldon interviewed me, but I was flying with a helicopter and we were doing backflips, loopings, and I was getting quite sick, to be honest.
And I saw that he was extremely white and sweating like hell. For me, Lucas is the clear contender this weekend.
My motto, full attack. Most important is to find the setup and then don't look left and right, just push. It's special to have a home race, and in front of the home crowd the motivation is a bit better. Chasing the DTM title, full attack, every lap.
Well, that was very impressive. Respect Lucas. And in regards to the championship, obviously Lucas is trying to close the gap towards Sheldon van der Linde. So what did he say? Full attack. Let's see what he can do.
So Lucas Auer, one of 4 Austrian drivers hoping for success in their home race this weekend. He has slipped down to 3rd place in the championship standings though, behind René Rast, who managed to get 3 useful championship points for qualifying on pole position in qualifying. Sheldon van der Linde there looking relatively relaxed, coming into the penultimate weekend then of the season as the championship leader. But it is super close with the pressure coming from René Rast, from Lucas Auer, and there are other drivers like Mirko Bortolotti who've looked quick this weekend and are still very much in the hunt for the championship title. Bortolotti, who started the season so well with 3 podiums from the first 3 weekends of the season. Can he come back here after a couple of fraught weekends? And what about Nick Cassidy, a race winner for the first time, last time out at Spa? He finds himself on pole position after René Rast gets a 3-place grid penalty here at the Red Bull Ring for race 1.
The man who's here with me is Nick Cassidy, who'll be starting in pole position. And in Spa, you had your first win. So are you going to be able to repeat that today?
Look, that's certainly the plan. Not going to be easy, but we're going to attack and see what's possible.
I mean, Spielberg is a very challenging racetrack. So how tough do you think will the race be? Surely everyone's going to attack you.
Yeah, every track in DTM is super tough, right? And every race as well. So I've got, how many cars are there? 30 guys behind me that want to pass me. So. That's racing.
All right, well, you got a smile on your face, so best of luck. Do enjoy the race. Thank you so much. And now here's your commentator.
Well, Nick Cassidy will carry 25 kilograms of success ballast into this race as the winner of the previous race. But he finds himself on pole position. Nico Muller has looked competitive this weekend as well. He's still in the title fight, and he lines up on the front row of the grid with Ricardo Feller 3rd. René Rast qualified on pole for the 3rd time this season, but a 3-place grid penalty due to his, ironically, contact with Nick Cassidy in the previous round puts him back to 4th spot. There you see the rest of the grid. The big story, though, that Sheldon van der Linde there finds himself as championship leader back in 16th spot on the grid. He needs to get up into the top 10 if he's to rescue any championship points from this first race of the weekend. So we're about to go racing for the first time in the Red Bull Ring. 4 rounds to go, 4 races to go. The DTM Championship 2022 up for grabs. Chris Hartley trackside to talk you through the first race of the weekend. Ferrari got 2 victories here at the Red Bull Ring last year with Liam Lawson. They've got their man on pole position. Nick Cassidy about to lead the charge then into turn 1 as the lights go out. The race gets underway, and Cassidy with a good start here. A decent start as well from Ricardo Feller and from René Rast to go either side of Nico Muller, and around him on the way into turn 1. Cassidy is going to lead. Feller just about has his nose in front of that battle for 2nd place, but René Rast is coming at him. Bortolotti has made a good start as well, and he's on the attack here to try and get alongside Nico Muller. And Felipe Fraga's made a really good start in the second of the Ferraris as well as they rise up to the third corner, and on the brakes down the inside goes Felipe Fraga. He's got his nose in front there, 4 abreast. He's third. There's some contact on the way out of the corner. Several cars run wide as they come out of the first gear hairpin, and they charge then over the top of the circuit. There's smoke coming from the Ferrari of Felipe Fraga, who's got sucked back into the pack here, but his teammate Nick Cassidy leads the race going into Rauch for the first time. A really good start from pole position, with René Rast into second and Vella dropping back, and there with 2 wheels through the gravel because he's got a puncture, I'm afraid, is Felipe Fraga. It looks like a left rear, and it's damage to the bodywork as well, and more misfortune for the Brazilian driver. And there's Thomas Preining in the blue and red Porsche coming through for Team Bernhard from the 6th row of the grid, finding himself now ahead of Ricardo Fella, who made a really good start off the line, but has found himself sucked back into the pack here after that contact with Felipe Fraga coming out of turn 3. So it's Cassidy from Rast, Bortolotti from 6th up to 3rd, Muller in 4th, Auer in 5th place, and Maro Engel has made a good start as well. He's in 6th place at the end of the first lap of the race, and Sheldon van der Linde has made up 4 places on lap 1, the championship leader in the red and yellow number 31 Schubert Motorsport BMW. But he's been made to work very, very hard here indeed as he goes through into the first corner at the start of lap 2. He's just behind Lucas Stolz here, and he's got Leon Kuhler, who's making his debut in the DTM this weekend, on his tail. Former Porsche Super Cup and Porsche Carrera Cup Deutschland driver, standing in for Esteban Muth this weekend. And into the pits, I'm afraid, we've got Clement Schmitz, and a recovery imminent here for Arjun Maini, who's had a spin in his Mercedes, gets going again, but he's going to be right at the back of the field. And there is, I'm afraid, Felipe Fraga limping back to the pits, and so too Dennis Olsen, 5th in the championship in the Porsche. Replay of the start. Really good start from Nick Cassidy. Keep an eye on René Rast here. He goes to the outside of Nico Muller. He's got his teammate for Abt in the blue number 7 Audi alongside him, Ricardo Fella. But that all changed when they got up to turn 3. A huge crowd here at the Red Bull Ring supporting the DTM. And a replay, see to the right of the picture there, you've got Felipe Fraga, they're 4 abreast. And there was that contact as he came out of the corner between himself and Ricardo Fella. 2 other cars on the outside, and it was the Brazilian that came off worst, but both of them dropped down the order. And this was the moment that Felipe realised that all the tyres were not working as they should. He's been in the pits, he's got going again, but look at that, the tyre in absolute tatters. And big news for Dennis Olsen. He's been the driver, scoring more points than anybody else in the championship so far this year. He's out, and that's Felipe Fraga straight back into the garage. Another retirement for the Brazilian. Only 4 race finishes so far this season. His teammate, though, Nick Cassidy, over a second clear as he goes into that uphill braking zone for the 2nd gear. Turn 1 corner, Niki Lauda corner, named after the Austrian legends, and René Rast and Mirko Bortolotti still tied together, 2nd and 3rd. Muller in 4th place, falling away from them. Auer in 5th, and Thomas Preining from, 13th on the grid up to 6th place now. Has got ahead of Maro Engel. Right, the pit window is open, and in we've got Lucas Stolz just ahead of Sheldon van der Linde. In the foreground, Marius Sugg is coming in. You've got David Schumacher in the background being released in the Windward Mercedes as well, but it's going to be Lucas Stolz getting out just ahead of Sheldon van der Linde. Sheldon will want to get past him as quickly as possible. Still has a chance of getting some points here, but he's going to have a very long stint on those tyres to get to the end of this race. So fairly early pit stop, but trying something different. I think probably feeling that he was going to get stuck in the traffic from where he was on the grid. And he's falling away at the moment from the Mercedes of Lucas Stolz, who's one of the 9 different race winners that we've had so far this season. All right, 39 3/4 minutes to go, and Sheldon van der Linde out ahead of Ricardo Fella. And here's a rear-facing camera, BMW versus Audi. BMWs have struggled so far, although they look pretty good on Friday. Sheldon was 2nd quickest in free practice 2. He's ahead of Ricardo Fella because of this move into the right-hander at turn 4. Sent it down the inside, covered off the line on the way out of the corner, and crucially got ahead of Fella, who's getting up to temperature his tyres. Lawrence Vantour is out, so that's both of the SSR Performance Porsche drivers out of the race, I'm afraid. The Belgian's disappointing season continues. We've got Maro Engel coming out of the pits. Just behind him is Maximilian Gotz. So the leading pit stopper is going to be Michael Grenier, who's already gone through. You've got Lucas Auer coming through as well. These two getting out of the pits, getting their tyres up to temperature. Will be third and fourth of the pit stoppers. Lucas Stoltz just behind, and then Sheldon van der Linde. So he's kind of in the region of those drivers that were inside the top 10 here, Sheldon van der Linde. He's definitely pulled away from Ricardo Feller. So this is not looking too bad at the moment for the South African, just trying to rescue a few points out of this first race. Second weekend in succession that the championship leader has had a bad qualifying on Saturday, likewise at Spa, in changeable conditions 2 weeks prior to this. The race leader 1.5 seconds clear now, Nick Cassidy. Got the top 9 still to make their mandatory pit stops. There's Michael Grenier, the Canadian, who's picked up 3 points finishes in the last 4 races. Good to see him getting to grips with life as a DTM driver. And there is Thomas Preining versus Nico Muller just behind it. Preining sends it up the inside of the way to turn 3. The Porsche comes through. It's not without contact. The Audi sent out wide. Lucas Auer saw what was coming, left them a gap, and then split the pair of them on the run out of the corner. So the Porsche at the head of the group, and it's the Mercedes, and Nico Muller, who will have a bit of a graze along the right-hand side of his Team Rosberg Audi, dropping back 2 positions. So Preining now becomes the second of the pit stoppers behind this man, Michael Grenier, in that 55 Mercedes. Lucas Auer starting the weekend second in the championship. And here's a replay of the move. The last possible millisecond, Preining went up the inside. The Austrian driver desperate to do well here. Those 2 podium finishes at Spa, but it wasn't without contact. You see bits of bodywork flying off both cars there as they came out of the corner together, and then Lucas Auer, fellow Austrian to Tommy Preining, nicking the place on the way out of the turn. Approaching half distance then, just under 31 minutes to go in the race, and the leaders look like they're going to go long on the tyres for their first stint before the mandatory pit stop. Mirko Bortolotti is very much staying with René Rast. René second in the championship coming into this race, Mirko fourth in the championship. But of the top 8 in the points, over the last 6 races, Mirko is the one that scored the fewest points. So he needs some big results here. Drives for the Grasser Racing team, Gottfried Grasser's team, based just a few kilometres from the circuit. Their home race, they've won here before, and they've won here before in other categories with Mirko. Going well at the moment, in 3rd place. He looks a bit quicker than René Rast, but at the moment René is not giving him any opportunities to come through. Rast knows this circuit well. He's a 3-time race winner around the Red Bull Ring in DTM, and obviously as a 3-time champion, he's pretty adept at dealing with pressure. And you can see the Lamborghini is able to get into the turns slightly easier than the Audi. The Audi seems a bit slower out of the slow corners. And here is the battle between those pit stoppers. So this is for 8th, 9th, 10th and 11th positions, with only the top 7 yet to make their pit stops. And Tommy Preining gets a really good run coming out of turn 1, but so does Lucas Auer in the Mercedes, and the Mercedes is going to whip around him. And in fact, Preining is slowing there, so he's going to lose 2 places because Nico Muller comes past. So a problem with the Porsche as he came out of turn 1 and in towards turn 2, but he's back on it, look, coming out of turn 3. So maybe a minor glitch there, whether it was a gear change issue or maybe he's just had to reset something, but the car looks like it's back up to speed now, and he's already onto the tail of Nico Muller. That big move on Muller on the way into turn 3. He's going to have to do it all over again here, Tommy Preining, who drops to 4th in the group, 4th of the pit stoppers. He switches one way, cuts back the other. Has a look as they come through the middle sector now, down towards turn 7 at Graz, a 3rd gear corner. No way through just yet, and the more this goes on, the more Maro Engel and Maximilian Gotz close in on them, and so too potentially this man right at the back of the group, Sheldon van der Linde, the championship leader. Here comes Tommy Preining once again on Nico Muller down the inside, same corner, same contact, and it might be the same result here because the Porsche is ahead once again as they charge down towards turn 4, and he's gone through. Almost a carbon copy of the move from a few laps ago, and Muller probably knew what was coming but was powerless to stop him. So really getting the bit between his teeth here is Thomas Preining. No love lost between these two. Here's a replay, and again I don't think it was without contact, this move. He's leaving it to the last millisecond. He'll say there was a gap, I went for it. Nico Muller might have a different opinion, but the end result, the Porsche is ahead. Lucas Auer has got the fastest lap of the race at the moment as well. That gives a bonus championship point. And look how quick he is, right onto the tail now, Michael Grenier. And he's got the inside line, into turn one he goes. And that's a really nicely done move. So Luki goes through, and that will put him up now into 8th place. He becomes the leading pit stopper. But he's got to cover off the line here because Michael Grenier is coming back at him as they go through the left-hander at turn 2, up towards the right-hander at turn 3. Down from 5th gear to 2nd, down to 65 kilometres an hour from over 240 kilometres an hour. And then a rise out of the corner as you go over the crest. You've got to get early on the power here. Shelton van der Linde desperately trying to get involved in this battle, but he just quite hasn't got the pace in that BMW at the moment. He needs them to hold each other up. And we've got the Porsche on Michael Grenier of Thomas Preining, and he's got his foot in the door here, side by side with the Canadian. Going through, he's going to be on the outside line for the left-hander. And this is going to be brave stuff. Is he going to run out of road, run out of tarmac, and maybe even run onto the curbs here? He's committed to the move. Grenier's got the inside line, though, and the Mercedes, for now, stays ahead of the Porsche. But then he runs wide, almost puts a wheel through the gravel. This brings Preining and Muller back onto his case. We know that Preining is determined to go forward today. He's taken his chances, but he's going to lose ground as Muller comes over the crest and through. So instead of gaining a place, Preining ends up losing one. And Michael Grenier just about keeps them all behind. This massively helps out Lucas Auer at the head of that group, just pulling away from them now as he goes over the start-finish line. Just over 24 minutes to go. Flashing the headlights then is Nico Muller, trying to attack and defend at the same time because he's got Tommy Preining behind him, who's already passed him twice in this race. Grenier, Muller and Preining nose to tail then as they come out of turn 3. The two Mercedes closing up just behind of Engel and Gotts, and the inside line being covered this time by Nico Muller, the two-time championship runner-up, knows what's coming around the outside this time. Though comes Tommy Preining, not deterred. He's got his foot in, he's on the curbs, he's alongside the Audi, and for what, the third, fourth time in the race, they're going absolutely wheel to wheel here with Michael Grenier just ahead, and Preining gets up through the gears, gets his nose in front, but he's on the outside line going into the next turn, downhill braking, goes out wide, Muller holds onto the place. Preining then cuts back on the exit to the turn and has another go all the way through turn 5, side by side again. Left-hander coming up. Still, Muller is on the inside. Still, he's not quite ahead, Preining, and he has to give up the place once more. Tries to switch back, cut back and dive to the inside line. Trying to squeeze through a tiny gap here, that Porsche, and he might just do it. Wheel to wheel again. More rubbing, more smoke, more paintwork is traded. Still, he tries, kicks up the dust, still he's not through. Fantastic battling between these two. Muller will not give it up. Preining's going to have to watch his back here with the two Mercedes all over him of Engel and Gotts, and Stolz has caught up as well, and also coming after the BMW of the championship leader. Now here's Nick Cassidy with 21 minutes or so to go in the race, just managing this gap at around about 2 seconds. Rocco Bortolotti has sat behind René Rast for a long time now. When are they going to come in and make their pit stops? Who's going to blink first? There's that huge battle coming up the hill. Hours left them behind, but then you've got Grenier. Now under attack from Muller. He gets a really good exit actually coming out of the turn, and the Audi draws alongside the team. Rosberg man should have the inside line with the downhill braking into the Rauch right-hander. He goes through, Thomas Preining follows him, luck, and gets the Porsche through as well. So Michael Grenier loses 2 places and drops back behind both of them. Absolutely scintillating racing here in the DTM. Might not be for a podium position, but it is just as tense and just as competitive. And that's what happens when you run a bit wide here. Oh, and I'm afraid that is Grenier out of the race after what looked like being a point-scoring finish. Right, we're getting ready as we go towards the end of the pit stop window for the top 3. Who's going to come in first? It's going to be Cassidy, Rast, Bortolotti, all of them. It won't be Cassidy, he stays out for one more lap. Bortolotti stays out as well. So it's Rast that comes in first, and Bortolotti's got to really pull the trigger now and have a fantastic in-lap. Should be that Cassidy and Bortolotti come in at the end of the next lap because time is almost up before the pit stop window closes. So big few seconds coming up for the team here. Could have a big effect on the championship for the Abt Sportsline team. No to win drivers and teams championship. They changed the rears, they changed the fronts. The 3-time champion ready to go.
Go, go, go.
He's released. It looked like a pretty good stop to me. So René Rast back out with a nice clear track just behind him, back onto circuit.
Auer with a 10-second penalty is now on start-finish. And Auer is braking for turn 1 now.
And news that the driver behind him, Lucas Auer, has got a 10-second penalty. It's for speeding in the pit lane earlier in the race. So 10 seconds is going to be added to Lucas Auer's time. And of course, he is one of René Rast's big championship contenders. And Bortolotti is the other one who is going to have to come in on this lap, as is Nick Cassidy. So another big pit stop coming up. And Sheldon van der Linde, the championship leader at the moment, looks like he's going to be struggling to get into the points as Cassidy and Bortolotti coming together then. Adhering to the pit lane speed limit of 60 kilometres an hour. 6 team members ready to change wheels on each of the cars. Only 4 of them can actually work on the wheels. And it's going to be a long wait here for Cassidy because he's almost at the end of the pit lane. This will seem tortuous, but in he comes. In the background, let's keep an eye on the Grasser Racing team and the Lamborghini. This looks pretty good from the AF Corsa squad. They've had some good pit stops so far this year, and that looks slick. And Cassidy is going to be out well clear of Bortolotti. There's Rast in the background then. So there's a couple of seconds between them before the pit stops for the top 3. He comes over the line. Cassidy, I think he's going to get out just ahead of him, but he's got to get his tyres up to temperature. Rast is going to be clear already of Bortolotti, and Bortolotti is going to have a car which is loose for a lap or so as he tries to generate some heat into the tyres. So a slower pit stop there for the Grasser Racing team. René Rast still second, but now with a much bigger advantage over Mirko Bortolotti. Cassidy, though, looks good to retain the lead of the race. And remember, Lucas Auer, who's there just tucked up behind Mirko Bortolotti, has got to add 10 seconds to his time. What happened in the pit stop then? A closer look, it was the front left. The front left was sticky, and that's where they lost the time. Crucial seconds lost. It came off all right, but the new one wouldn't go on. Despair for the team. Replay in of Nick Cassidy marching on ever closer towards a 2nd consecutive race victory. If he achieves it, he'll be the first driver, only the first driver this season, apart from the championship leader, to score more than 1 race win. Sheldon van der Linde has 3. About 9 different winners, but all the other 8 drivers have only won 1 race apiece. Right, here we go. Round 7. Thomas Priding versus Nico Muller, and it's the same corner, it's the same move. Again, there might be contact. Out wide, he sent the Audi. Through goes the Porsche. And Priding gets the job done once again. Wow, how many times is that? 3 or 4 times those two have come together, overtaken each other, run side by side. It's been a huge battle. Great entertainment. Not quite sure Nico Muller or Thomas Priding will see it that way, but as a neutral, it's been great to watch. Here's a replay of the move. He just leaves it to the last millisecond, doesn't he? And comes through and gives Nico Muller nowhere to go. Can't turn in because he finds a Porsche there, hits the curb, that sends him out wide. A bit more contact on the way out of the corner, but they both somehow managed to survive. Cars have taken a bit of a pounding today in this great battle that we've seen. So going into the closing stages of the race, can Lucas Auer salvage anything out of this with that 10-second penalty? It could put Sheldon van der Linde into the points potentially, but it's going to be tight, this. And also, Thomas Priding has now got a time penalty of 10 seconds for that contact, or the multiple contacts, I guess, with Nico Muller. So he is going to drop 10 seconds as well. So the drivers 4th and 5th on the road could, one or both of them, drop behind Sheldon van der Linde. That could get him into the top 10. Could get 9th, 10th or 11th. It depends how far clear they are at the end of the race. At the moment, though, it is looking very tight. Almost home and dry then. The race leader, Nick Cassidy, for the 2nd consecutive time, is about to become a race winner in the DTM. Ferrari and the New Zealander win once again here at the Red Bull Ring. What a combination. So there is the result graphic, which shows Nick Cassidy, René Rast and Mirko Bortolotti as your top 3 drivers. Nico Muller comes home in 4th place, his best result for a while. Kelvin van der Linde got ahead of Maro Engel in the closing stages to move himself up into 5th place. Sheldon van der Linde, though, despite those 10-second penalties for Auer and Preining, just misses out on a championship point in 11th place, and the gap at the top of the championship table is going to close further still with 3 races to go.
The show is good for the fans now on the last 3 races, but it's obviously not ideal for me when you go into a race with 32 points lead and then leave with only 13, I think it is now. So, yeah, pressure's on for sure. It's not obviously the day I wanted, but I'll look ahead to tomorrow, and it's very frustrating.
So Dan beat Sheldon van der Linde, but he's got to get that positivity back up, and another day tomorrow, another chance to extend his championship lead. But Nick Cassidy is the man of the moment. A second consecutive victory from the last 3 races at the Red Bull Ring. Ferrari have won them all, but the Lamborghini and Mirko Bortolotti back on the podium.
Are you happy with the P3, considering you came from P6?
Yes, really happy, because from P6 to P3 on the track, that on paper doesn't really suit us. It's a great achievement, a great result, so I'm really happy with that. Huge thanks to the team for an amazing job. Yesterday we worked really well, set up the car for the race, and obviously for quali as well, so I think we had a great day, and we can be happy for today, and tomorrow is a new day.
Well, it's starting to get really tight at the top of the championship table now, with 21 points scored across the day. René Rast has reduced the gap to just 13 points. Mirko Bortolotti is only 20 points adrift in the championship table as well. But Nick Cassidy might not be worried about championship points, championship wins. He's just going to enjoy the day, just going to enjoy another victory as he takes his 2nd win of DTM 2022. Great day though for René Rast, 2nd place and his 50th career podium, and closing the gap at the top of the table.
Coming from P4 to P2, you've got to be very excited and happy about that.
Yeah, definitely. That was the maximum today. 18 points, 2nd in the race. Everything went to plan. Good pit stop, good strategy. Unfortunately, I couldn't catch Nick. He was too quick today again. But nevertheless, 18 points are very important for the championship.
So there then the podium celebrations. What will tomorrow bring? The weather forecast looks decidedly different, but for now, the only moisture in the air is coming from that champagne. Huge smile on the face of René Rast despite not winning the race. Massive smile on the face of your race winner, Nick Cassidy. 2 wins out of 2, looking for a hat-trick.
I'm super proud. It's not easy to do in this championship, and it's really special. I think the drivers here I consider to be really world class, and I've had to learn a lot about this type of car, match my driving to it, but I've been able to do that. I'm super proud I can show these performances.
Well, one thing that we have learned about DTM 2022 is that each day is different. We'll see what race 2 brings here at the Red Bull Ring. 3 rounds of the championship still to go. Lots to talk about, but what about the future of DTM? Let's get a glimpse into it now with a look at DTM Electric.
It's an exciting day for DTM, also for DTM Electric, I would say. What we see here is the DTM Electric demonstration car. So that's the pre-step to the prototype that we are developing at the moment. Today we are checking out a sound system. I'm a big fan that everything has a natural sound. So does an electric vehicle.
I think, Schaeffler is doing a really good job, and the DTM, they are working really hard to develop this project as quick as possible. It has already 1,200 horsepower, and it's electro horsepower, so it's really cool. The acceleration is great, and to have a sound now as well gives you kind of more emotion.
I'm proud about DTM. I'm proud about the trophy, the classic, the esports, and especially also to have an electrifying product at the platform that we are developing. From the corner steps of this project, it's the absolute edge of technology. So yeah, it makes us proud to see this developing.
We certainly saw a phenomenal first race here at the Red Bull Ring, and now we're ready for race 2. Fact is, the weather conditions are completely different. It's raining, bad visibility, hardly any grip. It's going to be very, very challenging. But the main question, obviously, is who's going to be going to Hockenheimring as championship leader?
So, very different conditions for day 2 here at the Red Bull Ring, but the rain is due to stop shortly after we get underway, so it could be a very interesting one, this, with just 3 races to go in the championship. And news overnight, a change of results, because Lucas Auer's 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane has been rescinded, so he moves back up to 4th place in the race 1 results. And there was also a change for Thomas Preining, who was given a 10-second penalty for driving standards in that battle with Nico Muller. That's been rescinded when they've looked at the video footage, so he is put back into 5th place and is very much still a championship contender. So Sheldon van der Linde is a driver that qualified 6th in qualifying this morning. It all looked pretty good, but he's got a 9-place grid penalty due to the fact that he exceeded track limits several times during race 1. So he'll start in the middle of the grid. He comes here with a 13-point championship lead now, much reduced by René Rast. Lucas Auer to 3rd place in the championship standings, and Mirko Bortolotti just behind. So 20 points cover the top 4 in the championship with 3 races to go. Maro Engel, though, getting his first career podium in the DTM with the terrific drive in a very, very wet qualifying session this morning.
Obviously for you it's the perfect start in pole position, but quite frankly now it's starting to rain a bit more. It's going to be a gamble, isn't it?
It's going to be tricky for sure, but anyway, yeah, starting at the front is definitely the best place to start. So yeah, we're hoping for a clean race. For sure it'll be a challenging one, but it'll be the same for everyone. So
absolutely. But in regards to the qualifying, I mean, you know what it's like out there, and because it's such a roller coaster feeling here at the Red Bull Ring, what do you expect in regards to grip, visibility?
Hopefully clean visibility for me from the front, and then I mean it depends on the quantity of water. I mean right now it's raining a bit heavier again, but the forecast says a little bit less rain. We'll see what's going to happen, but that's going to dictate whether we have aquaplaning or not. If there's a lot of water, then we'll have some aquaplaning. If there's less water, the race will probably dry out.
Good point. All right, well, let's hope for the best. Best of luck for the race. I know that Maro just got a big kiss from his wife, so hopefully that's a good omen for everything, and good luck. And now here's your commentator.
So Maro Engel starting from pole position as Gerhard Berger there to the left of the picture, the ITR chairman, overlooks the proceedings on the grid. We got Maro Engel looking for his 2nd ever DTM victory. The last was in 2017. Nick Cassidy qualified 3rd but is promoted to 2nd on the grid. It's because Maxi Götz is one of the drivers that picked up a 3-place grid penalty for his track limits offences in race 1. Having qualified 2nd, he'll start in 5th place, and they're back in 15th place on the grid. Sheldon van der Linde, the championship leader, with a lot of work to do if he's to get himself a championship point, but none of the front runners in the championship have qualified particularly well. The weather will play its part in this race. Wet for now, but will it dry up as the race gets towards its conclusion? 2 formation laps for the drivers. The fans have been bravely watching on here and staying trackside. Hopefully this will be a thriller. So the race about to get underway. Maro Engel will lead the charge. Nick Cassidy in 2nd. The lights go, out we go racing. Felipe Fraga there in 3rd place. Out of the points yesterday, Philip Eng in 4th. They go into turn 1 at the start of the race. Huge amounts of spray behind Maro Engel. He's the only one with a clear view into turn 1 and gets safely through there. Felipe Fraga is on the curbs and out wide as he comes out of turn 1. There is Sheldon van der Linde in the red and yellow BMW, the championship leader, trying to make good progress at the start of the race. And Nick Cassidy here, who's on course for 3 wins on the trot if he gets this victory, is going on the attack here, looking around the outside of Maro Engel. Got Felipe Fraga going up the inside of Philip Eng. Eng goes out wide as they accelerate out through turn 1, and Sheldon van der Linde goes way out wide, and the championship leader goes into a spin. So van der Linde spins out right at the start of the race. Nobody collects him, he keeps the engine running, but he's going to rejoin in absolutely last position here, hoping to make his progress up the order from that lowly grid position. He's now got even more work to do at the start of this race. Replay of the start then. Maro Engel, perfect getaway. Nick Cassidy was trying to find some vision on the way into the first corner. Fraga had a good start, then went a bit wide and had a bank battle with Philip Eng up at turn 3. Home crowd hoping for some Austrian success here, and here from a different angle you'll see out wide at turn 3 onto the escape route goes Sheldon van der Linde. There's clearly absolutely no grip there, just touched the throttle and the car span around. The car will be okay. He'll now have to catch everybody up. And here is a replay of a bit of a coming together here with Thomas Preining and Arjun Maini, who are right behind Maximilian Gutz. And that was a really, really good save from Arjun Maini, who was almost at a 90-degree angle there. On board with Thomas Preining. This is how it looked. Got up the inside, might have clipped the back of Gutz as well, and then into the side of Maini. Right, an early pit stop for Lukas Stolz. So the mandatory pit stops between the end of the 10th and the end of the 40th minute in the race, but Stolz has gone for an early stop. I wonder if some of them might leave it as late as possible in case it dries out and slick tyres become a possibility at the end of the race. Felipe Fraga now runs out wide onto the curbs, and he gets into a spin in the Ferrari. All the way around, beautifully controlled, but he's going to lose places already. He'll lose acceleration and more places on the run up towards turn 4. You get out wide there at turn 3, and it's like ice. So Felipe now tumbling down to the middle of the field. Maro Engel pulling away pretty easily at the moment. He's nearly 5 seconds clear. Cassidy second, Engel third. Preining on the attack here as well, trying to get himself even further up the order. He's going side by side with Eng, and he's gone through. He's absolutely flying at the moment, Tommy Preining. He made good ground in the opening couple of laps of the race, and he's on a real charge. Absolutely flew after Philip Eng. Got Arjun Maini coming as well in 5th place, and into the pits goes Nick Cassidy. So Cassidy going for a pretty early stop as well, and Lukas Stolz in already. Will it dry out? Will he have to stop again for slick tyres towards the end of the race? Replay of Thomas Preining's latest move here on Philip Eng. Confident, and on the curves he went. So, change of tyres for Nick Cassidy, still on wets of course. 7.8 seconds, another good stop by the AlphaTauri Red Bull AF Corsa team. More into the pits now, including Philip Eng from the lead group, and Ricardo Feller just coming in the background as well. Just flashing out at turn 10 was the yellow Mercedes of Lukas Stolz. So Stolz is already over the start-finish line now, and he's going to be the leading pit stopper here, I think, as Philip Eng is still coming up the pit lane. In the background, there's the Ferrari of Nick Cassidy, blue and white. So Stolz with the virtual leader, the leading pit stopper. Cassidy will get through, and then Eng is going to settle in just behind the pair of them. Thomas Preining on an absolute charge here. Has got ahead already of the race leader. He's 5 seconds down with about a lap and a half ago. Now he's already ahead. So he did that right at the end of the lap through the last 2 turns, and Thomas Preining charging through the order here, scything his way through. Been more than a second a lap quicker than Maro Engel. So you've got yourselves a new race leader here. Maro Engel, I think, starting to struggle with those tyres. Here's a replay. This is how it happened. We just saw the back end of it, but this is what it looked like on board with Tommy Preining. Lovely move that down the inside at turn 9, the Jochen Rindt curve. And now Arjun Maini having a go at Maro Engel as well. Engel really beginning to struggle halfway in this race with his tyres. The former race leader is about to drop down to 3rd place, I think, because Arjun Maini has got the inside line. And through he goes to gain the position. He goes a little bit wide on the exit. Back end of the Mercedes dances out, but he's ahead of Maro Engel and through. Hunting for his 2nd DTM podium, but his 1st of the season, Arjun Maini, if he can hold on to this, just about closes the door in time to stop Maro Engel having to think about coming through. But there are definitely areas of the circuit now that are beginning to dry out. Some places still very wet, some drying, and some with a dry line now. René Rast into the pits then for his mandatory pit stop. Let's see what he does. Wet tyres going on.
Fast lane is clear. Go, go, go. So we will be close to Kelvin. He's struggling with overheating rear tyres already.
8.7 seconds. Not a great stop from Ab Sportsline. He's stuck with wet tyres. Having an okay race, but looking here to outscore his closest championship rivals, which he might well do. Comes out just behind or alongside Rolf Inayschen. He'll want to keep Rolf behind him here. Doesn't want to get stuck behind him after this. So René Rast, despite the fact he's getting his tyres up to temperature, has got the inside line, and crucially, he's just about going to keep Rolf Inayschen's Lamborghini behind him up at turn 3. So René Rast has taken the decision to stick with wet tyres, but slick tyres are being readied down at Winwood. So some drivers might take the gamble here. It is definitely starting to dry out on the start-finish line. Other drivers are looking for damp patches to keep their tyres cool. It's Auer that's coming in for Winwood, so he's the one that's going to go for slick tyres. Maximilian Buch just behind as well, coming in. And Lucas Auer released. Really good stop from the team as well. Excellent stop, 6.6 seconds. But how little grip will there be? It's going to be really tricky at the start of his stint here. So René Rast already coming through. Turn 1 is his closest championship contender rival in this race. Auer still struggling to get the power down. Look, coming out of the pit lane exit here. And you got Ricardo Feller and David Schumacher battling alongside. He's going to rejoin right alongside them. They get past him. Schumacher in the Mercedes just ahead of Feller in the Audi. And then Lucas Auer tucks in behind them, trying to get up to speed now and hoping that that track continues to dry out. It's really dry here on the braking zone on the way into turn 3. But you go offline and it is still treacherous, look. And that piece of tarmac that has taken spins from Fraga and Sheldon van der Linde. So Arjun Maini becomes the leader because Thomas Preining is one of the drivers in the pit lane and he is released. So Preining coming out now. 11.5 seconds was a fairly slow stop from the Koos Team Bernhard team, but he got a bit of a cushion. Now Lucas Stoltz is his big rival here. He comes over the start-finish line. And Luca, we know he's on wet tyres because he stopped very early on. Are they going to begin to struggle as the race goes on? There will be fairly worn wet tyres now, so that might help him. But Preining is going to get out just in front of Lucas Stoltz. He accelerates now up towards turn 2 at Munster and then towards turn 3, the next braking zone at the hairpin. See how wet it still is offline. Lucas Stoltz hunting down Thomas Preining, closing up to him. The Porsche just stays ahead when he gets up into the right-hander. The way it accelerates out of the corner, I would say that Thomas Preining is probably stuck to the wet tyres there. Maini is in and Engel is in, so they're the last two to come in right at the end of the pit window. They came in with about 7 or 8 seconds to spare. And slick tyres for Maro Engel. So Engel going for it. He was really struggling on those wet tyres, wasn't he? He's going to come out behind Arjun Maini as Preining and Stoltz go through. And inherits the lead of the race then, Thomas Preining. Then Maini comes out, then Engel coming out right in the middle of a pack here by the looks of things. But he'll have the slick tyre on, and if it continues to dry like it is, he might be one to watch in the closing minutes of this race. You've got Nick Cassidy struggling on his tyres as well in the blue and white Ferrari, starting to fall down the field. And he's under attack from one of the SSR Performance Porsches. It's Dennis Olsen who's gone down the inside of him at turn 3. And he accelerates away now. So Nick Cassidy falling back, slipping down the order. Maro Engel is just behind that group, getting out ahead of Leon Kohler, and still struggling to get the slick tyres up to temperature. Right, Dennis Olsen is one Porsche on the attack. Lawrence Vanthoor is trying to get up the order as well. And Arjun Maini struggling for grip as he goes out wide at turn 4 at Rauk. And he's got René Rast underneath him. He's got Marco Wittmann trying to get past him as well as they come through now. And Maini is going to slot back in behind the two-time champion. But he'll have to be patient because the tyres, the track might just come to him. And it's going to be, if the track dries out like it is, it could be 2 or 3 seconds a lap quicker on the slick tyres. Cassidy versus Rast here. And René Rast looking to be 5th here. Really useful points if he can get through. He's on the outside line. We know René Rast stuck to the wet tyres, but Nick Cassidy's wet tyres are shot and he can't do anything to prevent the 3-time champion coming through. So Rast, the top 4 championship contenders, now the highest point scorer. Look at the drivers pulling across to the right to search for wet tarmac. And this is Marius Sugg and Felipe Fraga going out wide, and a second spin for Felipe Fraga right across the bows of the championship leader Sheldon van der Linde. That was a very near miss. Heart-in-mouth moment for Sheldon van der Linde, who's trying to get up the order, and a replay of Lawrence Vanthoor getting clattered by Maro Engel. He went out wide, Engel on the slick tyres up the inside, and as Vanthoor turned back in, he found a Mercedes in his way and drops down the order. On board then with Lucas Auer, who was the first really to gamble for the slick tyres. He's had to come from the middle of the field, but he's now started to charge. One of the quickest drivers out there. He gets alongside Marco Wittmann. This is to get himself into the top 10, and what would be a very useful championship point there. You can see the dry line as they make their way through the middle sector, and already Auer is through. So Marco Wittmann just powerless to prevent that Mercedes coming through. Right, René Rast now under attack from Maro Engel in the closing stages of this race. Engel side by side with him and just drives around the outside at turn 1. So Maro Engel charging now. He's picked up 3 or 4 places in the last couple of laps. And the former race leader, the pole sitter, puts himself back up to 5th place now, with René Rast down to 6th. Next target for Maro Engel is going to be Dennis Olsen, who I think is also on the wet tyre, and so Maro is just going to drive around the outside of him, or try to. He's out wide there. Olsen tries to fight back, but the Mercedes is through. Nothing he can do, Dennis Olsen, and so that's Maro Engel up to 4th place now, and Philipp Eng is his next target. He's quite a few seconds up the road, more than 4 seconds ahead, but he's on the wet tyre as well in the Schubert BMW. So he's under threat here, very definitely. You've got René Rast with more side-by-side action, this time with Arjun Maini, who's now started to come back through the pack. Now that he's got his tyres working, the slick tyres, he just drives past René Rast, and Rast slips back another place here. He's also got to consider Lucas Auer, who's his big championship rival, one of them coming through on the slick tyre. He's not that many places back. Philipp Eng has been caught here right at the end of the race by a flying Maro Engel, and I'm not sure the Austrian is going to be able to keep the German behind him. He gets alongside already in the Mercedes. Eng is trying his best here, but he's just on the wrong tyre for this stage of the race. Engel comes through. Eng out of the podium positions. So it's Preining, Stolz and Engel now the top 3. Tommy Preining then, an absolutely sensational drive. He has charged through the order. He's been brilliant all weekend. Logot, Guts and Olsen, and also Nico Müller all together here with René Rast, as well as there's still more changes further back down in the top 10 on this final lap of the race. Auer now ahead of Rast as well, and of the championship contenders, he's going to pick up the most points here in 6th place, and he's got the fastest lap point as well. But Thomas Preining is the driver that is going to take his 2nd victory in the DTM.
And this is Preining time. Yeah, mate. Well done. Thank you.
Well, what a wonderful drive from Thomas Preining. An Austrian wins in Austria. He was sensational in race 1, and he has delivered once again.
You did it. Hooray. C1. Well done.
And as you can hear, he's quite happy about all of this. So Thomas Preining, a 2-time race winner, he really does rocket up the championship table with that as well. Lucas Stolz in 2nd place with his 4th podium of the year. Maro Engel in 3rd place. Arjun Maini, his best result of the year, in 4th. Philipp Eng and Lucas Auer complete the top 6, with Götz, Müller, Bortolotti, who came through on the last lap of the race to pick up a couple of championship points, in 9th place, ahead of Dennis Olsen, who comes home in 10th position. René Rast slipped out of the points on that final lap of the race. Sheldon van der Linde just ran out of time, 12th, and no championship points here in this penultimate weekend of the season. And it all means the championship is going to go right down to the wire at the final race weekend of the season. There, supporting his special helmet design, the Walter Lechner tribute helmet, is Thomas Preining, a victor in his home weekend. So Tommy Preining, in a really challenging race on a drying track, comes through to pick up his 2nd race win. And a legend of motorsport, the 3-time MotoGP world champion Jorge Lorenzo is here to present the winner's trophy to a very, very happy Thomas Preining. So 130 points, just an 11-point lead in the championship now for Sheldon van der Linde. Auer, Rast and Preining right on his tail. Let's hear from our key championship contenders at the end of a thrilling weekend.
It's obviously a big positive, and it motivates me as well for Hockenheim, because I know how quickly things can change, and I know it will be the same, that everyone has to kind of go through these bad weekends, and I just hope that ours are now out of the way and that we can really focus on a very good Hockenheim. We're going testing there on Wednesday and Thursday as well, so we're going to try every possibility, rain, dry, whatever. We're going to do everything to really make this happen, and I can promise you I'm very fired up to make this happen.
Obviously the track dried up, and lots of cars were behind me on slicks. In the end, they passed me all in almost the last lap, and I got back to P11, which is obviously frustrating. Could have done a big step in the championship today, but yeah, nevertheless, that's racing sometimes. Sometimes it takes right, sometimes wrong decisions.
Very happy coming from P12, and today all credits to the team. They made the decision to slicks. I thought they are completely mad, but it was 100% the right decision and the only way to score some points, and worked out. So I'm really happy, and they did a fantastic job.
For the race, and in the end we started from P24, I think, and we finished P8 or P9, so it's once again a perfect race for us, but just we deserved a lot more, but it's how it is, and we look forward to the next race.
Well, it is going to be an absolute cracker of a weekend at Hockenheim. 2 races to go. Zero idea still who's going to win this championship. But for now, let's enjoy what's been a terrific weekend of racing at the Red Bull Ring.
Congratulations, what a victory. You came all the way from P7 to victory, and I see a big smile in your face. You've got to be so excited.
Yeah, I'm over the moon. Winning in DTM is great, but winning at home is even better. So I've lost my voice, I'm sorry.
Well, hopefully you'll get back. Let me just ask another question. It's your second victory here. As you said, it's your home race, so that's phenomenal. That gets a little emotional, so sometimes it goes in the voice. But also you're the 4th in the championship now, so you've got 2 weeks break, and then we've got the finale at the Hockenheim Ring, so who knows? I mean, it's all about the championship now.
Yeah, to be honest, I haven't had a look at the standings now. I'm just happy we won. We're going to celebrate today. Sorry.
Oh, you poor thing. All right, well, you get a sip of water, but Thomas, congratulations. What a phenomenal victory. And yeah, that's it from here, from Austria. And yeah, he needs to grab some water. And we're so excited. In 2 weeks, we have the grand finale at the Hockenheim Ring. You do not want to miss it, because at this point, it's all open, and who knows who's going to grab the title. It'll be so thrilling. So see you then. Bye-bye.